Hey, thanks for joining us live with Miami's Community News. And I'm Michael Miller. And our guest today is the Honorable Mayor of Cutler Bay, Tim Meerbot. Welcome, Mayor. How are you?
Thank you very much. Appreciate the honor of being here as well.
And, life is so funny. Here we are. We thought we'd have a great summer, not have to worry about a bunch of stuff. But all of a sudden, COVID is coming back.
It is coming back. Actually, we were starting to peek our head out from under the covers, like, okay, everything's safe. And now they're telling us it's not. I don't. Right now, my impression, at least, you have to go by the people around you and the people you know. You see it on the news that it's really roaring back, but thank God it hasn't roared back around the people I know yet. So,
Yes. One of the things we know, the school board's already hired dozens more mental health counselors. We know that the county is providing more care. All right, probably 25% of the people that we deal with in this seats here are directly connected to social and mental health care in Miami-Dade County. That means the demand is gigantic.
oh, without a doubt.
So, what is the town of Cutler Bay going to do to help the people that need help right now?
The town is, again, we're limited staff. One of the good things about having a limited staff is we're very efficient. The bad side of it is we don't have a lot of resources to provide additional benefits to our citizens. So we have to reach out to the county and the state or the federal government to do that. So what we do is make sure that we're keeping the lines of communication. Any type of help that's available that we're aware of, we quickly share that with all of our residents. And we're always looking for additional ways that we can help them. For example, we got some of the CARES Act money, and we provided direct mortgage and rental assistance to our community. We also provided daycare assistance to our community as well. So anything we can do to make it a little bit easier, and we're trying to get the information out there with our limited resources. That's about all we can do.
And lots of times that is enough to get somebody over that big hump. Folks, again, if you're having a social or emotional issue, you call 211. They can help direct you to that. There are a lot of organizations, National Alliance for Mental Illness can be able to help you. That school board, lots of places. Talk to religious advisor, somebody that you trust, because we know this is a very stressful time for everybody. Just when we thought it was safe to go outside again, right? And we know the kids are maybe going back to school, or maybe not.
Yeah, it looks like they are. I hope so. I really do think that the mental health for kids, it's really necessary to be with other kids. And I know there are some risk associated with it. There's risk in everything, but I think the mental effects on the children right now are starting to become evident that it may have been too much for them. And if it continues on for too much longer, the effects may be permanent. So,
and we see it with their caregivers as well. It's like we're used to a certain pattern in our life, and it's all upset. By the way, in the last year or so, over 100,000 children have lost their caregiver, all right, to mostly to COVID.
Right.
So there is lots of extra stress that's going around. Now we know that the Cutler Bay it was formed in 2005. Do I have that right? 2005.
Correct, 2005.
Right? And John Cosgrove, a friend of ours, was the first mayor.
Yes, he was. I served on the council with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I miss him a lot. All right. And he was, we worked with him. He was actually and his part-time, he was a travel editor. He'd fly all over for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, travel.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And he'd come back, big smiles on his face. And it was really a good friend. So Cutler Bay has a certain, what is the average age group, more or less, the demographics as far as the age?
Well, you're going to stump me with that one now because it's changed so dramatically. The average age, probably about 5 years ago, was an older age, 55 plus. But,
be careful when you say older.
Well, okay. I'm in that group. Okay, I'm in that group. So, like us, old like us. Okay, seasoned, we'll call it that. Most of our age is more of a seasoned age group, 55 plus. But right now, it's just really popping with young people in their 30s moving in with families. They're just so excited about the area. They're excited about the golf carts, the parks, the schools. Houses. The inventory of houses is super low right now, less than 50. A friend of mine put his house up for sale. 6 hours later, he got $9,000 more than asking price for it because they're just turning over so much. The community is really just it's viewed very positively, and people want to be a part of it.
And that has a lot to do with the amenities that weren't there prior to 2005, and the posture, the position in the city throughout the community certainly has improved. And if I say city, the municipality, town, village.
Yeah.
Okay, so Now, back in 2010 and around that time, there's something that you noticed when you're on the council down there, as far as being age friendly. Now,
Right.
here's a document that was prepared by the city, and it was titled "Communities for a Lifetime Age Friendly Action Plan 2018-2021."
Right.
So the things that we're in here certainly points to being friendlier towards those people as they get a little bit older.
Right, and that was by plan. That's actually was my brainchild back in 2010, recognizing that the demographics of our city were moving older. That you have to make sure that we can plan for other places for them to go in the community as their lifestyles change. You know, you don't need as big as a house when you get older because you don't have as many children there. So what else can you do? You got to move someplace else. You have to have different activities. So we reached out to find out how we could become one of these age-friendly communities, and we created a Communities for a Lifetime action plan through them. And we're like one of the few in Florida to be certified and get the designation as being an age-friendly community. Again, we provide daycare, daytime activities for the elderly. We're building housing for elderly. We're allowing the building of housing for the elderly in Cutler Bay. I think there's a waiting list, a 3-year waiting list to get into these
And what does that look like when you say are those townhouses? Is it an area that say this is our senior housing, if you will?
They're houses, condos, type of like apartment type buildings, and they're very similar to regular apartment buildings, except that they'll come before us, say this is for an elderly community. So, the elderly don't have as many cars. They don't have 3 cars per household. They usually have 1, or they don't have any. So, we'll make some accommodations for less parking like that to give some of the incentive to the builders to actually build this type of housing for them. So.
And it's a self-perpetuating truth, which is we hear it, we act on it, we provide it, then there's more demand for it.
Right. Well, the demand is way ahead of the supply right now. Again, it's a 3-year waiting list to get into some of these places in Cutler Bay for the elderly housing. So we've got, I know of 2 that are being planned to be built right now. We've got other applications that have come before us as well. Try to build more places.
And if I could take a look at this right here, this story was in the publication of the Florida Department of Elder Affairs, Elder, all right, whatever that means. All right,
we'll call it.
Like the older I get, the less that is. Okay, so it's Town of Cutler Bay earns the Florida APA's Innovation and Planning for All Ages Award. So the commission, the council, and the management put together this plan and was recognized by the state.
Right.
That's really tremendous to be able to do that.
It was tremendous. Again, it started with we have a committee that we started back in 2010. Started under me, and then Sue Ellen Loisel picked up the baton after I left. And of course, our town manager, Ralph, and the rest of the staff have been working on that the entire time. So much so that when we went up to Tallahassee, the Department of Elder Affairs asked us to come over and talk about that, because it's something that a lot of communities should do, but Cutler Bay did it, and we're the first to do it.
And I think that's part of it. So when do you, if you will, excuse it, to pull the trigger? When you say, "Oh yes, we need it," and then in 10 years, people will go, "Well, of course." No, not of course. Somebody has to do that to make that happen. So what does elderly housing look like in 5 years down the road and I use that term loosely, all right, in Cutler Bay?
It looks very much like what you see right now. Elderly housing is starting to move away more from the single unit dwellings, single story, to more of the horizontal type of housing. So we're going to probably see a lot more of that. I know that the buildings that they're building in Cutler Bay are 3 to 5 stories, and a little more, less of a footprint on the land, but more people inside.
Will there be communities that are when somebody lives there, there's going to be not just housing there, but there're going to be activities?
That's not in our plans right now. But of course, there's land available, and a developer can go ahead and build what they want. I really don't think we're going to see anything like the villages down here, in a small version.
They are setting a record up there. Should I share with you what it is?
What is that? Oh, STDs, right?
Yes.
I'd heard that already. So that's first thing it says for the villages. Come to the villages. But kind of lost the train of thought there. Thanks for that.
That's okay.
No, but the housing that we've got right now that on the plans or already there is spread out. So we don't have that type of community for an elderly community that's planned.
If you don't mind, I'm going to read part of this. It's part of the APA's Project Awards, the Innovation in Planning for All Ages, recognize innovative planning and meeting the needs of the 50-year-olds plus. Some of the criteria that nominees are judged on include initiatives as far as implementation of pedestrian infrastructure, innovative transportation that increase senior mobility, and outdoor spaces generating fostering intergenerational multicultural connection and socialization.
Right.
What might that look like?
Well, little simple things like pedestrian friendly. I don't know if you know that the seasoned people or elderly people don't move as fast as younger people.
I hadn't noticed that yet.
So having an intersection that's a walkway that's very wide, it's hard for them to cross in time. So the simple things just like, okay, it pinches together a little area where they'll be able to cross timely and not have to worry about getting run over by a car. Outdoor activities, we have exercises at our pool for the elderly twice a week. We have different types of activities for them each week, whether it's healthy living, healthy eating, financial planning, things like that. It's transportation, of course, making sure that there's transportation where they can, it's accessible to them, not only to get on but also where they're going. For example, South End Mall. We got a new circulator that would go by the elderly housing and pick them up, but there was no bus stop right near the door of the mall. It was all the way at the edge of the parking lot, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense. We actually had to negotiate with the mall and try to get them to allow the buses to come in there, so they could drop the elderly off right at the door rather than have them walk 300 yards across the parking lot.
So, Mayor, if you could push a magic button and you could do the ideal thing that's sort of outlined in all this hard work for the city put together and is recognized for, what might that development look like? The future is being created
the
right
future
now.
being created, and that's the great thing is we can reach out to the Department of Elderly Planning to get that kind of information, and that's what we've been doing. That's what our community, we call it a CFAL, Community Communities for a Lifetime, that's been working on this. It's people that can actually have the time to go out and gather that type of information and bring it to me, because I don't have that magic knowledge, much less a magic button to make it happen. I had a good idea back in 2010 and to kick that off, but there's just so much that I didn't know, which I know now, and we're learning. So we're continuing to learn.
So 2010, this is sort of, you came up with this.
Yeah.
So this document, when did this document start to be worked on, more or less?
Let's see. Well, it actually started to get worked on back in 2010. We started making it's a long step process. It's not just, okay, here it is.
This is a 15-year project.
It's a 15-year project. Yeah.
This it is amazing that here it is. It was just this little idea, and then finally it's moving forward, and then the state recognized, hey, that was a really good idea. So part of this, as we know, is to be way ahead of the curve, right? Because by the time, if you wait until you're there, that means that no more Walmarts would ever be built because there would already be neighborhoods there.
Right, exactly. It's right. The small ideas come from conversations sometimes. This is not related to elderly housing, but it's related to military housing. When I first became mayor, I asked to meet with the commander of Homestead Air Force Base. A lot of people say, hey, we really don't have a military affairs committee in Cutler Bay. So I said, well, then, rather than start one, let me just sit down with him and ask him, hey, how can we help? And when he said, he goes, well, we have a bunch of people that move here, and they have to pay first, last, and security. And they're on a private salary, and it's not easy for them to do that. So I came up with the idea of trying to work with the realtors and bankers. So they would either have a pool of money where it's available for first, security, and last, if the person ever absconded without it, paying, and they won't because their commander would return them. But so that started taking off, and now it's spreading statewide, where they're starting to put together the same type of programs to allow military people that are transitioning to new bases and easier access to get housing. So just a small idea, threw it out there, and the next thing you know, the chamber is running with it, the military affairs committee is running with it. And
you said some magic words. How can we help?
Yeah.
Mayor of City of Miami, Francis Suarez, said that, and the tech companies responded. And our huge influx of tech companies that they're here. He is responsible, and plus 20 years and 50 years of working, he is getting that credit for starting that conversation again. So, who's the group of people you'd like to talk to that you'd like to see move down there? That you could say, how can we help?
That's been my topic of conversation with almost everybody I've met for the last 6 months. Me and our town manager Ralph have been making the rounds, trying to reach out to. We reach out to the Beacon Council. We have the Southland Mall area right now. All three parcels, the major parcels, are all available for sale at the same time, and so that's a perfect storm for somebody to come in there and do something in that area. Whether it's tech, I've asked the Beacon Council if they can provide me some more information on who we could recruit to come down there. Who do we need to talk to? We've been talking to developers that can build mixed-use type of environments, such as downtown Doral or downtown Dadeland. We've been talking to our county commissioners to say, hey, look, we've already got great tax incentives. It's an opportunity zone. So if somebody moves in there, they can have their taxes deferred or waived for 10 years. But it's not enough. What can the county throw in to sweeten that pot? How can you guys help us get this done? Reaching out to, you mentioned the hospitals coming in here, reaching out to them. I believe they're hungry for another place in the South. So reaching out to them and letting them know that we've got available. We've even made a video that we've distributed. I don't know if you've ever seen it yet. If not, I'm going to have to get you a copy of it, of what can be at the town center. We're doing everything possible to make sure everybody knows about it. But the last thing is we're making sure that any development goes in that area is going to be, you won't even have to go to the council. If you build it as of right, you can start building. So we want to make it easier for them. We want to know how we can help them develop, because that goes all along with my main goal is bringing more jobs south. Because again, I can't fix traffic, but I can fix jobs. I bring them
And speaking
south.
of traffic, so the BRT, right? Bus rapid transit. I understand it's some of the bases are being built.
Yes.
Is that active right now?
That's active right now. They're starting to. They're actually in Cutler Bay. There's going to be 4 stops in Cutler Bay, and they're doing the site inspections and things right now.
So that is on the west side of US 1.
Correct.
And it's how many miles long is that, more or less?
Oh, I see. I guess it's got to be 20.
Yeah, 20 plus, right?
Yeah, 22 miles.
Right. And theoretically, what that's supposed to do is provide public transportation at affordable prices to move people from north to south and south to north,
right,
without having to drive.
Correct.
And the county right now has what's called the rapid transit zone, which they're trying out. Right,
yes.
Which they're trying out. Good luck, guys.
Uh-huh.
And which was, I'll try to surmise it, which was the county saying, we want to take control of land that is in the county and in the city, and intensify the zoning, right? To allow more height and less cars,
right?
So that there'd be more people that would use the public transportation.
Right.
Other than the BRT, what other public transportation are they talking about?
That's it right now. And
for the folks in the South.
And I got to tell you, it's, I want to talk to I talked to our county commissioner, and I've talked to the county commissioner of the Southwest. I've talked to Keone and Daniela Cohen-Higgins about this. Cutler Bay already has that zoning available, but nobody's building it. So by taking it for the entire county, I don't think you're going to see buildings just start to pop up yet. It's just not right for it yet. I hope they don't do that. Again, I'd much rather that our county commissioners work with the individual cities. We'd like to have control of how the development goes. Granted, we do have to work with the county completely to help support the bus rapid transit. There has to make sure there's ridership for it. We asked for something. We actually asked for something more. So we have to do everything we can to support that. But Cutler Bay is. We've already, all the zoning that they're talking about right there, you can do in Cutler Bay along the busway, but not a half mile in. That goes all the way into the neighborhoods. Yep. And that's a little bit much. You just need it right along the corridor where people actually walk.
Hey, developers, big businesses, right now, you can do it right there in Cutler Bay.
Yeah, anybody who wants to come in and build a downtown Dadeland or downtown Doral in the Southland Mall area or along the bus rapid transit way, please come talk to me and my staff, and we'll let you know what's available down there. It really is the perfect place, if you ask me right now. It's the hot spot in all of South Dade County. You have a large parcel of land available. You have a turnpike, US 1, and the BRT, all right there. You have a diverse workforce from doctors, plumbers, everything right there. We have 55,000 people that live in our city. We have, another 30, 40,000 that live south of us, 25,000 to the north of us. Everything you need is right there. And, and it's about to take off. I'm excited to see what's going to be happening over the next couple of years. We're going to see some real positive development where we can get some more restaurants and entertainment and jobs.
So speaking of transportation and traffic, so the 87th Avenue Bridge will be built soon, which happens to be on county land in Palmetto Bay.
Right.
So that road will be open. And people say bridge. Yes, it's just connecting the asphalt on this side to the side over here.
Right.
And I know a lot of Palmetto Bay was very passionate about it. I know there was a lot of grief between the city south and then not so much the north, but that's over. All right.
Yes.
And they put up a good fight. But the reality is bigger picture stuff, which is how do you move people in and out? It's just not going north. It's also going south
Right. It's going south. And quite honestly, it's also going east and west along there. So, completing the grids allows that to happen. And the east and west is mainly schools, stuff like that. But still, it just makes life a little bit easier. But again, I'd love for people to have, I have traffic going south because it means they're coming to our jobs in Cutler Bay.
So one of the things that the city of town of Cutler Bay has done is become a welcoming wagon for other businesses. And things we do here on 62nd Avenue, which nobody would come to 25 years ago. There was an empty convenience store a few blocks from here. I knew somebody was looking. I said, I'm the welcome wagon. All right. You ought to buy that piece of property. Well, why? It's very expensive. I said, it's expensive today, but in a couple of years from now, you're going to wish you would have. Sure enough. All right. And it's going to be a locally owned drugstore is opening up a few blocks from here on the same street, same avenue, actually 600 feet from here. But besides the desire of the business, it took somebody that was in the neighborhood to point out all those things.
Yeah.
So are you the go-to guy for that?
I'm the go-to guy. You can reach out to me or Ralph. We even a couple of weeks ago, we asked all a group of realtors to come in and say, all right, guys, what else do we need to do? We're eager to help, but we just don't know who to help. So we brought them in and said, all right, what are you seeing out there? What kind of questions? Who do we need to reach out to? What are the needs? What needs are not being met?
So let's use the example of Francis Suarez, mayor of Miami. He reached across the country,
right,
with the famous tweet. There's been no looking back since then, right? And so sometimes we have to go out of our neighborhood and go to some other places that we're not even aware of.
And we've talked about that. I have a local economic development council that I meet with, and again, it's always good to go to the experts, and they're saying, well, you got to get to different groups. You got to get to the retail association groups. I said, all right, well, where are they? Like, oh, well, they meet every year here. Like last year they didn't because of COVID. So, hopefully everybody's going to get that kicked off again, and we can. Ralph and I said, we'll go to New York. We'll go wherever we have to meet with the right people to get them to start investing in our community.
All right, town manager, you know what you need to do.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about during the COVID of the last 15 months, lots of people sort of, they've sort of parked away, and all of a sudden they look out, and all of a sudden there are all these new buildings. Building didn't stop during that very strong lobby.
Right.
And just a few blocks from here, the 3 stories were added onto the Metro Rail station here, and it's all student housing. And they actually redid the outside of the parking garage, so it's perfect. There's the black window, black frames. It looks beautiful. The retail stores on the bottom, coconut palms, and I'm going. They turned it from a parking garage into like, wow, it looks like downtown. All right,
yeah.
And providing the housing that is needed. The closest, there's no metro station down south, right? The farthest one is in Pinecrest. Dadeland.
Yeah, Dadeland,
right?
Yeah.
So is there going to be a gathering place for folks down there in the form of any big additional public buildings?
I do envision again like a downtown Doral, downtown Dadeland, the Southland Mall area. You already have you have the government building over there. You have the courthouse. You have the Performing Arts Center over there. And again, as we mentioned, it's like actually the geographic center of South Dade. And I do envision that in 10 years, people are going to look back and go like, wow, where did that come from? That this is just what we needed. someplace else, we don't have to drive to Coral Gables to go to dinner anymore. We can go right local.
And you bring up a good point, because if the South End Mall was developed, across the street is the cultural center.
Right.
And so part of that is filling in those little dots.
Right.
So that it makes
So you have the bus rapid transit way again, the other auto associated transit corridors, the Turnpike and US 1, the center of government there. I don't know why more law firms would move down here instead of Coral Gables. They're moving a little bit away from downtown pricing, but Coral Gables isn't much better. So keep on moving a little bit further south. You got a courthouse right here. You can just take your law firm and
it's an interesting thing, because we do legal ads and for lawyers. The closer those lawyers are to downtown, the less likely they are to do business with other than the establishment.
Right.
The farther out they are, the more likely they are to support the local businesses. So what is and can the city do to promote the shop local concept that we certainly are about, and there are a lot of businesses as well?
Again, we've always shop local is one of our things. We're going to be kicking off a program using some of the money from the federal government for COVID recovery to give gift cards to our citizens to be used at local businesses. So the business have to sign up with us. You have to be a Cutler Bay resident, sign up with us. Those kind of things to bring them together. So you give the benefit of a gift card to a resident, and you give the business to a local business. So it's a win-win for everybody there.
A few years ago, then Commissioner Cava started the South Dade Accelerated Program with Daniela Vargas, right? And he got a big promotion out of that. My hat's off to him. And those incubator programs are really important. Besides for the skill, for the confidence that people gain by having mentors with that. Does the city offer it either themselves or working with the other federal or county agencies?
We don't have a program that we're working with them right now. The incubator program was started by the county, as I mentioned earlier. Due to our limited staffing, we don't have a lot of opportunity to work with those kind of things, other than again, piggyback on what the county and the state is doing. Right now, we don't have anything going on like that, but now that you mention it, it's a good thing I talk to smart people so I can have better ideas that I can bring back. So that might work.
So we're fortunate to be able to talk with a lot of folks and ask them when they realized they wanted to be some type of job. Yesterday, we were with some actors for a play that's in Coral Gables called Title of the Show. All right. That's the name of the show.
The title of the show is Title of the Show?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
And so as we're talking with them, when did you realize? Well, when I was 6 or 7 or 10 or something. I said, no, before that. Oh, 3 or 4 years old. All right. So my question to you, Mr. Mayor, when did you first go, I think I'd like to do that?
I can remember specifically, it was after a softball game. We were sitting around with a bunch of friends talking. I was like, we're talking about incorporating Cutler Bay. And I'm like, that's my hometown. I've grown up there. I know it better than anybody else. I'd probably be the good person to help be part of the government. So that's when I first.
What year was that?
That was in 2004, 2005. Yeah.
We were fortunate to be involved in that, as well as some other cities. And when you realize that, there's an old saying, victory has as many fathers, defeat has none. So we were part of that family of fathers and mothers that were able to do that. But even at that point, for years of pushing it forward, out of all the new incorporations back then, it barely won. All right. Not by a bunch, by a little bit. Right. Because there were anti-groups.
Right.
They were against that. Within a couple of years, some of the anti-people said, no, I want to be on the commission or the council.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Right.
I remember very, very well.
And it's like, holy moly.
Yeah.
And what was that like to be with a group of people that said, let's incorporate, and then the night of the success of it? What was that like? Were you at John's house?
No, I was not at John's house. That I just, I wasn't very politically savvy when I first started running. I was just, a local guy.
The lady who was a cop, or her husband was a cop, that was very much involved in it?
Oh, Nancy McHugh.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
She was pretty active.
Yeah. I was, they were active in putting that together, putting the charter together. You had Ed McDougall, Nancy McHugh, Paul Ruman, the Condons, a bunch of them that were kind of active. And I was just kind of Johnny come lately. It's like, hey guys, I'll jump on this train. This looks like a good
It's
idea.
Sometimes people say, how does it happen? I said, it starts in somebody's kitchen.
Yeah.
That's the way. So how many in the beginning, I mean, the first couple months, when you all would get together, how many people was it? More or less.
Now you're having to go way back. I couldn't tell you.
I mean, it wasn't 50.
No, it was not. The groups are very, very small. Even our first council meeting, it was, it was a small
Was it
group.
20 people maybe?
It was probably 20 people or less. Yeah.
So I think that when people think about what they want to do in life, it doesn't take this gigantic crowd. It really takes what Lee Iacocca did, goes to Congress, said, I need some money to keep this thing going. So one person can make a difference.
One idea can make a difference. A small act, it's just saying yes instead of no. It's like, you know what, let me give that a try, or I'll start down that path. Next thing you know, you look back and you're miles down your journey. So it's, I would have never thought that when I was, let me run for council. What the heck, and that, 12 years, 14 years later, I'd be mayor of the town, and it wasn't on my agenda. I don't have political aspirations. I just really, really like my community. I want to make sure that we do the best for it. So that's why I threw my name in the hat and why I'm here.
So how do you process when people are up? I don't know if they scream over there at you in the meeting. All right. So how do you process that?
Usually when people are screaming, again, there's that old, and first of all, I have to say in the last, I guess, 2 years, it's been nothing but really positive support, very little disgruntled people right now. So we're either doing things really, really well, or they're just like, it's not a bother. But when the people would scream at you, it's really often it's people wanting the same thing, but having a disagreement on how to get there. And, I'm very, I guess, I'm very calm. I don't lose my temper. So I can, I'll let somebody voice their opinion and recognize their opinion is different than mine. Okay, let's move on. I have 4 other people on the council with me that get to listen to them as well. And I do the same thing with them. Give me your opinion. If it's different than mine, we don't yell at each other. I know in other councils that does happen. But in our council, it doesn't, because, it starts off with I respect your opinion, whether it's wrong or right. Kidding. Whether it agrees with mine or not. So,
well, you bring up a really good point. In the old days when Wells Fargo, we're transporting money by horse and buggy, somebody said we need faster horses. Somebody says no, we need to move money faster, right?
Yeah.
So, and if we can agree on the end goal,
right.
How we get there, right, is a whole different thing.
Right, and that removes a lot of the animosity. It's like, look, I want the same thing you do. Usually, a better community.
And speaking of better community, let's talk about the property that the Cutler Bay bought a few years ago. Do I have right? The old potato field.
Right.
How many acres is that?
Close to 16.
16 acres.
Yeah.
What's going to happen there in the next 5 years?
We are going to be going forward to our community in the upcoming year. Actually, first thing we're going to do is we're going to be bringing the school. I think the University of Miami School of Architecture, or FIU. Ralph's going to be angry at me. We're going to be working with them to bring in all their students for conceptual design, to let them have a little contest to see if they can conceptualize what might be perfect for their community center, town hall building, parks, splash fountains, the whole 9 yards. Let folks that are really experts at it kind of go out there, and then we're going to take it to our community, and we're going to say, hey guys, we have the 16 acres. We really would like to, at least I would really like to build our own central park with our town hall, community center, and everything out there. What do you guys like that? And we'll have a little envisioning workshops with them, and hopefully then we'll go forward, get that thing started and be built in the next 3 years or so.
Will there be a space here where moms and dads with their babies in their what do they call it, baby carriage?
Yeah.
Right? It's been a long time, folks, that they'll be able to walk along there.
I hope so. My picture is a very small central park in Cutler Bay, because that's what I've referred to it as, our central park.
Yes.
It's in the center of the town. We do intend it to be a lot of open green space. I'd like to put our town hall there. I'd like to put a community center there. I'd like it to be a place where, with an amphitheater, and the town can come and gather and listen to concerts, or just have a picnic, throw the frisbee. Right next to it is, there's Publix is building a new Publix there, and they've also got all these parcels which are perfect places for sidewalk cafes and restaurants to go alongside of it. So I mean, that's my vision of it. But again, it's just because I'm mayor doesn't mean I get to make all the decisions about what goes on in the town. We have to do that collectively. So we're going to be reaching out to the community and say, hey, do you guys agree we should do this? And if we do, we'll have to go out and get a general obligation bond to get it done.
And Mayor, will there be places for the people over the age of 65?
Without a doubt.
Will they'll be able to, and they have a lot of benches? I just had knee surgery, so
Yeah.
I need a lot of benches.
There'll be lots of benches. There'll be rooms for golf carts to park. Feed the ducks, and this is just my vision, and I can't guarantee any of this.
And I think that is wonderful. And as you look forward, and certainly as I get a little older, and we live in a big house with no kids except for grandkids, and if it wasn't for the grandkids coming over all the time, I'd go, do we really need this anymore? Right? And
I was pushing my grandchild in a stroller this morning, so I had that duty today.
Interesting enough, the other day, grandchild's outside of the pool. I said, come on, jump in. And her mother, my daughter, is sitting behind her. And I'm screaming at my granddaughter with my daughter's name, as we did 30 years before.
Oh, boy.
Right?
Yeah.
Jump in. It's okay. Come on. And I keep calling her mother's name. And my daughter, Lauren's going, oh, that's Charlotte.
Okay.
So there's lots of great memories in big houses. And again, as I look to Cutler Bay and I see some of the changes and the improvements are really tremendous. You mentioned that a lot of people are very happy. It's because you're providing the service that people want, and people have hope for Cutler Bay and for the vision that is there. Now, again, so as I look to this over here, your age-friendly action plan, all right, that would be great if this became some visionary thing that people would look at. I've been in a couple of charrettes, and when you look in for the people who've never been there, there's all these boards and people draw the stuff that they would like, and it helps create a desire that the experts can look at and say, this is what the neighbors wanted.
Right.
One of the things that we had to deal with was there was a developer at each table, and they kept drawing in the developments that we wanted it all green. they wanted all the development. Yeah. I said, this is not right, folks.
Yeah.
So I want to congratulate you and the council and the administration, and congratulations to the town manager, who I think he was 19 or 20 years old when he got his first job.
Yes, he did under Mayor Wallace. Actually, he worked for Mayor Wallace in Florida City. Was his first job.
Should I ask when that was?
I wouldn't be able to tell you. So.
A long time ago. Yeah. We saw Mayor Wallace here not too long ago, and the south end of the county is really improved a lot. And our commissioner there, Keona McGee,
yes,
he is the one that's adamant, and he's passionate, and he cares. He has a high level of enthusiasm, and we want him back on the show. I see you there, Commissioner. I see you, and I hear you. All right. And
Keona, if you don't come on, I'm going to tell our story, okay?
So when I heard a story of his about when he was really young, it really moved me. And people want to know, what's your story? So my question to you, Mayor, is what's your story?
What's my story? I've grown up in Cutler Bay. Well, it was Cutler Ridge at the time. Went to school in Cutler Ridge for a short period. I went to Richmond Elementary for a couple of years. Family moved up to the Richmond area, so that was a different environment completely. But then shortly afterwards, we moved back. Went to Cutler Ridge Junior High, then Centennial Open, then graduated from Southridge Senior High School, 1981.
Local boy all the way.
Local boy all the way. Went away to Gainesville College for a couple of years, came back and got married, and I'm still living in Cutler Bay. Had children, still living in Cutler Bay. Now I have grandchildren, still living in Cutler Bay. And it's my hometown. Like I said, you know what I love about it? Anywhere I go, I'm going to see somebody that's a friend of mine. And that's a great way to live life. When you're going down the street, and I go to a lot of places in a golf cart, and you have to stop so many times to talk to people just to catch up on them, see what's going on and how they've been. But these are people you've known for 40, 50 years. The vice mayor in our council, Vice Mayor Callahan, I've known him since 1976.
Do you work, by the way?
Yeah, I work.
What kind of work do you do?
I am a claim division manager for Allstate.
Oh, so let's talk about Ernie Soshin.
Ernie,
former councilman, I think then vice mayor. He was like that old curmudgeon. He was hysterical. He would go to some restaurants. I'm the vice mayor. Come talk to me.
Yeah.
Right. It was just amazing the kind of energy that he had. All right. He was on the council for a long time, many years. All right. So if we could, we'll touch on just a couple of things in Cutler Bay. When's the next election?
Next year.
coming in next November.
Next November. Yeah,
My goodness, time goes by
yeah
really.
I got to
really
run
fast.
again.
No, come on.
Yeah, already.
Is that
The
a
peop-
2-year term?
It's a 4-year term.
Th-
Yeah,
It's
time
been that
flies.
long already?
Time flies when you're having fun. Yeah. So I'm like, people ask me, "Are you going to run?" I'm like, "Well, how am I doing? If I'm doing a good job, then yes." So
Well, we think that you're doing a great job. As a
Well, I
matter of fact, we
appreciate
know that. All right. So, Grant, I wish you and the whole town, the people that are there, getting lots of continued success, and you make us proud.
all right, thank you very
Hey,
much.
thanks.
I appreciate it.
And our guest today is the Honorable Mayor of Cutler Bay, Tim Meerbot. And thanks for joining us, folks. And want to thank Tommy for producing the show. And tune into where your favorite podcast is and get Mainline Marlins starring Tommy Stitt right there. Folks, thanks for your time. Have a great day.
All right, thank you guys.